Hey guys, it's Todd from Like Minded Lunatics, bringing you, it's another drink, play, swear. Hey, it's all we do around here. I mean, besides like looking at old adages and proverbs, looking for meaning, it's all we do in our spare time. Round here. Welcome back to the channel, welcome back to Drink, Play, Swear, and welcome back to Like Minded Lunatics. You know that Like Minded Lunatics is not just me here at Drink, Play, Swear. No, it's not. It's also the co-founder of this outfit. Bang, it's Mark Gifford doing the Friday night videos. It's just the best stuff on the channel, so if you're not watching those already, please do. And bang, if you haven't done so already, please hit that subscribe button so we can see how big this family of like-minded weirdos, degenerates, runaways, and ne'er-do-wells is getting. I love saying that every week. It's getting bigger every day, and we're glad that you're here. All right. What is it we do here at Drink, Play, Swear? Well, it's exactly what it sounds like. We play a game, usually a classic one. I pair it with a beverage, you see. And we talk. We tell stories. We run our mouths a little bit. Glad that you're here. What are we getting into today? Well, we've done over 150 of the Drink, Play, Swears, if you count all of the ones that are on YouTube. And that means that it's crazy that we haven't played Centipede on the Atari. 1980s Centipede, the arcade classic. We're playing that today. What are we pairing with it? Well, you know me. It's a Jim Beam and Coke. Get yourself something. This is how it works around here if you're new, okay? You get yourself something, you sit down, you relax with me. Let's have a good time. Okay. Let's get Centipede going. I haven't played Centipede in years, but I figured, I could pick it back up. What do we want to get into in terms of the story? Well, I kind of got it in my head that, I think most adages and, cultural proverbs that you hear are kind of dumb, and I just want to re-examine them. Now, if you hear me talk about a proverb or a piece of cultural wisdom today that you disagree with in terms of my handling, I would love to hear about it. I want to run through a list that I've made today. Let me pause so we can get started. All right. No use crying over spilled milk. You hear people saying this all the time? Well, first of all, what's wrong with crying? What's wrong with being emotional? What's wrong with expressing emotion? I know one Mark Gifford loves milk. What if he's sitting there right before bed with his peanut butter crackers and he's got his milk? And what if he spills the last of the milk and he can't drink it? If he cries, I don't think you should hold that against him. All right, let's examine a couple of others. You'll catch up and you'll get a feel for it. A stitch in time saves 9, they say. Stitch in time saves 9. Okay. First of all, what is a stitch in time? I don't know what that means in a literal sense. A stitch in time. Are we talking about healing something or fixing something? Like a stitch in a doctor's office or a hospital? A stitch in time? That's a metaphor I can't wrap my head around. Saves 9. 9 what? 9 stitches? 9 times? 9 years? A stitch in time saves 9? Is that just something that I am not smart enough to wrap my head around? A stitch in time saves 9. Okay. All right. You're making a mountain out of a molehill. People say that sometimes, older folks. Making a mountain out of a molehill. All right, I get it. What you're saying is I'm making a big deal out of something that shouldn't be a big deal. But who the fuck cares about molehills? And how many molehills have any of us seen that we're just going to casually talk about molehills? I've never even seen a mole, let alone a molehill. There's a lot of these in these old proverbs that relate to animals. Like one that bothers me here, curiosity killed the cat. Which cat? Which cat was killed? And we culturally all know which cat was killed. What was he curious about that killed him? Do we know? I don't know. If you know, tell me. But I don't know anything about what this curious cat did that made them deserve death. Also, I tell my students, I'm a professor, right? I tell my students all the time that curiosity is an important trait. Yeah? In terms of their education, they have to be at least a little curious to get anything out of it, especially if it's a class like mine that they probably didn't want to have to take, but they've got to take it, out of university requirements. Curiosity killed the cat. Stitch in time saves 9. What are we talking about? I don't know. Okay, here's another one. Easy come, easy go. You hear a lot of people say that. Well, I don't know. I've worked really hard for some stuff, and it went easy also. Like, work hard, and it goes away quickly. I don't know. Like, that doesn't sound as good, but I think it's just as true. Okay, what else? You have to, here's another one that I think is completely bullshit. You ready? You have to learn to walk before you run. Well, that's just common sense, isn't it? I don't need to be told that by someone. You have to learn to walk before you run? Okay. Thanks. You gotta learn the number 1 before you learn the number 2. Like, how wise are these things? Okay, ready? You gotta put your best foot forward. You hear people say this sometimes? Put your best foot forward. Are we judging which foot is better than another? I will say, a number of years ago, Like Minded Lunatic Mark and Like Minded Lunatic Jim know this, that I had like a brief gout episode, yeah? And it was on my right foot. Now, gout is when you have acid accumulating in your body, you see, because I was eating too much beef jerky and drinking too much beer. Okay, I had some acid buildup in my foot, and my right foot was in incredible pain. So obviously my right foot is not my best foot. But what is the average person's best foot? I don't even know what that could mean. All right, another one that I don't get. Don't sweat the small stuff. You hear people say that. Don't sweat the small stuff. But don't you find that 99% of your problems in life are tiny little annoying things? And if I'm not going to sweat the small stuff and just leave them to be problems, then I'm not solving most of my life problems, yeah? And you might say, well, no, it doesn't mean don't solve your problems. It just means don't worry about them. Well, I'm going to worry about things that are affecting my life. If I'm not sweating the small things, then I'm not sweating at all. And we already talked about, don't cry over spilled milk. And now we're saying don't sweat over the small stuff. What is our obsession with not losing bodily fluids? Who cares? Sometimes you gotta cry. Sometimes you gotta sweat. All right, here's another good one. Out of sight, out of mind. You hear people say that all the time. Out of sight, out of mind. I don't find that to be true. In fact, when I am not with you, right? And I'm not on my phone at all, and I'm just doing something quietly by myself, maybe I'm laying down to go to bed, and I'm staring at the ceiling. Or I'm in the shower, and I'm staring at the wall, right? I'm washing up. I think about a whole lot of things, and I think a whole lot of things that are not in my sight whatsoever. Out of sight, out of mind doesn't seem to make sense. You ever been in the shower and you think about the dumbest things you ever did in life, and you're like, oh man, I wish I wouldn't have done that. That's not in my sight at all, but it definitely is in my mind, right? Here's another little proverb that goes directly against out of sight, out of mind. Absence makes the heart grow fonder, right? That sounds like it means something, but isn't it the opposite of out of sight, out of mind? Absence makes the heart grow fonder, makes it sound like you not being around something or someone makes you care about them more, makes you think about them more. That's not out of sight, out of mind at all. Okay. Here's another one. Here's another one I got for you. You ready? Talk is cheap. You heard this one? If you're not from the 70s or the 80s, maybe you've never heard this. People used to say talk is cheap. Well, talking is free. Is that what you mean? Talking is free. Or do you mean, are you talking about like audiobooks? Like Audible is inexpensive. Let's change it to Audible is inexpensive instead of talk is cheap. Okay, actions speak louder than words. No, they don't. Actions don't speak at all, right? Words are spoken. So if we're going to be literal about it, why don't we say words are louder than people doing actions, people doing stuff, unless they're loud about them doing stuff, right? Okay. I only have a few more here. Honesty is the best policy. This is absolutely not true. You know what I mean? Like, as I've said before, I'm a college professor, and sometimes when I take attendance, I ask my students what superpower they would want if they could have one. And every once in a while, someone says they want to be able to read minds. And I'm like, this is a terrible power to have, to read minds, to know what someone is thinking deep down in their heart is terrible. Because people are generally, don't you think, like pretty awful on the inside. It's on the outside that we're really trying. Yeah. So anyway, honesty is the best policy. I don't think we would have half as many friends as we have in life if we were honest all the time. Am I wrong in that? Okay, what else am I missing here? An apple a day keeps the doctor away. This is just a frightening phrase because, like, are we hiding from the doctor? Are they coming to the house when they're not invited and we have to have a bushel of apples? A bushel of apples ready in case the doctor shows up? That's horrible. I don't want to do that. I mean, in modern day life, you just, like, don't go to the doctor if you haven't had an apple. Don't go to the doctor if you haven't been eating apples. That's fine. Don't bite the hand that feeds you. Yep. Okay. What else? Still waters run deep. I have this one in front of me. Still waters run deep? I mean, there's a puddle in front of me. It's not moving, but it's not deep. So many of these do not resonate with me. I wonder how you feel about these things. I have neglected my beverage and really neglected Centipede, so I need to give that another go sometime because I wanted to talk with you. It's been a while since we talked, and I'm going to finish up this beverage. You need to finish up yours if you're having one. In between now and the next time I talk to you, I'm Todd, obsessed with dumb language. Oh, see you.